Maud lived in a mansion between the woods and the western sea, and weather permitting, she played outside every day. In the woods, she pretended to be a fairy and chased rabbits and badgers. On the shore, she pretended to be a mermaid, collected seashells, and chased gulls. If weather didn't permit, which was most of winter, she sought similar adventures inside the house and broke antique vases. You see, Maud was an energetic child. For a time, an adopted brother had kept her company, but he had perished in a tragic tack accident. The nearest neighbor child her age, Neville, never wanted to play. She'd run through 9 governesses, and winter was coming. One night, her parents called her into the 3rd parlor for an important discussion. "Why do you keep terrorizing your teachers?" Mother asked. "I'm bored," Maud said. "I already know everything they know. I'd rather learn something new and exciting." "For example?" Father asked. "How to tie all the knots there are, how to build and repair ships, how to whittle, how to spit great distances." "Goodness gracious," Mother exclaimed. "She wants to be the lighthouse keeper," Father said. "Old Mr. Neptross?" "Yes." Arrangements were made, and 2 days later, Maud reported to the lighthouse keeper, eager to learn anything he was willing to teach. Archimedes Neptross was an old man with a long gray beard and pale eyes. As lighthouse keeper, he wore a black suit and cap with a satin ribbon tied around it. His black cat, Ogdred, followed him everywhere. At first, Mr. Neptross treated Maud like a tiny servant. She cleaned his cottage, mended his socks, patched his roof, and fed Ogdred. Maud performed these duties so cheerfully that eventually he taught her to cook, and they ate meals together. He also taught her lighthouse maintenance and all the knots he knew. In the morning, they drank black coffee and took turns spitting off the top of the lighthouse. In the evening, they sat before the fire and whittled. Maud whittled a unicorn, but the horn broke, so it became a horse. Mr. Neptross whittled a mermaid. He always had, ever since he was a boy. 100 wooden mermaids lined his mantle, and their 200 wooden breasts. "Why do you always whittle mermaids?" Maud asked. "So I can look upon them. It's my fondest wish to see a mermaid." "You think they're real?" "I do." He spit on the floor emphatically when he said that. Maud wasn't sure what that meant, but she stated her belief in mermaids and spit on the floor too. Mr. Neptross nodded, then said, "You're a good girl, you are. Now clean that spittle up." The next day, Maud formulated a plan. Mr. Neptross was quite old. He might not live to see a mermaid, but he had the perfect vantage point to search the ocean for one from his lighthouse tower. When she asked him when he looked for mermaids, he told her right before bedtime near 10 o'clock. Maud told him she wouldn't come for lessons for 3 days because she missed her parents. That was untrue, but it did the trick. She used the time to make herself a mermaid tail and long hair out of fabric. Unlike his whittlings, she incorporated 2 scallop shells sewed onto an old dress for modesty's sake. She found an old fishing boat near the lighthouse and painted it and its oars black. Then on the 3rd night, she packed her costume in a hat box and crept down to the shore. At 15 of 10, she pushed the boat into the water and labored to row it past the crashing waves. Finally, she broke free of the breakers, a strong current sweeping her out into a gentle sea. Being a mermaid was exhausting work. Before she could don her costume, however, Maud felt something wet on her shoes. The rowboat was leaking, the bottom of the craft filling with seawater. She tossed her costume into the ocean and frantically scooped water out of the boat with the hat box. She watched in horror as the boat filled and broke apart as the oars floated away. She was left with a single plank of wood to stand upon as she drifted out to sea. Her last hope was Mr. Neptross. Would he see her in the lighthouse's white beam, not a mermaid, but his friend Maud? Alas, she had drifted too far away. The lighthouse was a distant candle now. Its glow didn't touch her. Maud turned west, facing the endless ocean. She raised her arms heavenward, accepting her fate. The end. Maud, you know, you should have checked that boat, but otherwise, you went out like a boss, accepting your fate, opening your arms to the sea. You're a goddess. I wish you could have been a mermaid. So, let me know why you think Maud was swept out to sea. Was she in a shipwreck? I don't know. And tomorrow will be Neville's story. Neville, who's so boring. And okay, what do you think of Mr. Neptross? I love him. That picture is a real guy from the 1800s, Joseph something, and I'll put a little link in the description, but he had an 11-foot long beard, and he would get his picture taken with cats in it and birds in it and kids like holding it out, and I think it's fascinating. It's a great picture. I'm Rachel of Rachel Gets Creative. Thank you for being here. I'm super happy you're here, and I want to say thank you, and I love you. Bye.